In the dim glow of my laptop, the clock ticked past midnight, marking the beginning of another sleepless night. The relentless tapping of rain against the windowpane seemed to echo the rhythm of my thoughts, each drop a reminder of the unresolved mysteries that haunted me. I was a detective, well-versed in the language of the unseen, the unspoken. But nothing had prepared me for the case that now consumed my every waking moment. It all started with a simple email, an anonymous tip about a series of disappearances in the city's underbelly. The police had dismissed them as unrelated incidents, but my instincts told me otherwise. There was a pattern, a sinister thread connecting each victim, and I was determined to uncover it. As I delved deeper into the investigation, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Shadows seemed to move just beyond the reach of my vision, and whispers filled the silence of my apartment. Paranoia, I told myself, a side effect of too many nights spent chasing ghosts. But then came the night that changed everything. I was following a lead, a tip-off about a clandestine meeting in an abandoned warehouse. The place was a labyrinth of crumbling concrete and rusted metal, a relic of a bygone era. My footsteps echoed ominously as I navigated the maze, the beam of my flashlight cutting through the darkness. That's when I heard it, a faint sound, almost like a sob, coming from the depths of the warehouse. I followed the noise, my heart racing with a mixture of fear and determination. And there, in a dimly lit corner, I found her. She was young, no more than 19, with haunted eyes that told tales of horrors I could only imagine. Her wrists were bound, her clothes tattered and stained. I cut her free, and as she collapsed into my arms, she whispered a name that sent shivers down my spine. It was a name I knew all too well, a powerful figure whose influence reached into the darkest corners of the city. Someone I had never dared to cross, until now. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, a horrifying picture of human trafficking and corruption that went to the very top. I knew then that I was in over my head, but there was no turning back. I took the girl to a safe house, promising to return once I had gathered enough evidence to bring her captors to justice. But as I stepped out into the night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was stepping into a trap. The streets were deserted, the silence oppressive. Every shadow seemed to conceal a threat, every sound a potential danger. And then, out of nowhere, they came for me. They were professionals, their movements precise and deadly. I fought with everything I had, but there were too many of them. Just as I felt consciousness slipping away, a figure emerged from the shadows, dispatching my attackers with an ease that was almost supernatural. He was a stranger, his features hidden beneath a hood, but his eyes burned with an intensity that pierced through the darkness. He offered me his hand, and in that moment, I knew I had no choice but to trust him. We fled through the night, the city a blur of lights and shadows. He led me to a safe haven, a place hidden from prying eyes, where he revealed his identity. He was a rogue agent, someone who had once walked the same dark paths as those we sought to bring down. Together, we formed an unlikely alliance, united by a common enemy. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. We gathered evidence, pieced together the network of corruption that held the city in its grip. And as we prepared to strike, I couldn't help but wonder about the stranger who had become my closest ally. There was a story there, a past shrouded in mystery, but there was no time for questions. We had a mission to complete. The final confrontation was inevitable, a showdown in the heart of the enemy's lair. We fought with everything we had, our every move a dance of death. And when the dust settled, the villain lay defeated at our feet, his empire of shadows crumbling around him. As the first light of dawn crept into the sky, I looked at the man who had stood by my side through it all. In his eyes, I saw the reflection of my own journey, a path through darkness towards a glimmer of light. We parted ways as the city awoke, the echoes of our battle fading into the morning mist. I knew I would never forget the stranger who had changed the course of my life, but our paths were destined to diverge. As I walked away, the sun rising behind me, I realized that the true thriller was not the chase or the confrontation, but the transformation within. I was no longer just a detective chasing shadows, I had become a guardian of the light, fighting against the darkness that threatened to engulf us all. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what the future held, I was ready to face it, for I had stared into the abyss and emerged victorious. The city might never know the truth of what transpired that night, but I would carry the story with me, a reminder of the thin line between light and darkness, and the courage it takes to walk it.